How's it going? Mateo here, back with another recipe. This is turkey Albondigas soup. Start with the onion. And go with a touch of oil. And it goes. Next I have celery. Just going to do a half moon. Carrots on the bias. Another carrot. In they go. Next, a couple potatoes. I'll leave the skin on these. Next, jalapeno. Cut the end off. Cut it in half. Keep your knife flat. Scrape that off. Same thing here. Keep your knife flat. Scrape out the seed, unless you want the seed. Cut it in half again. And just give it a very thin cut. I have some fresh thyme and fresh sage. In it goes. I'm also going to add the potatoes and jalapeno. Now this soup is on the rustic side. The key to all soups is sauteing the carrots, the onions, and whatever other vegetables you have in them for a few minutes to break them down so you can get all the flavors out of the vegetables. Once the stock comes, then the vegetables release all the rest of their nutrients and flavors within the next, hour or so, 30 minutes. And then after that, there's really no more nutrients left to give out. So you've done everything by sauteing the vegetable first to break it down, giving the soup more flavor. And then you have to at least cook your soups for, I would recommend 45 minutes to an hour. That way all the nutrients from your vegetables can infuse into the stock and then get a deeper flavor. As also, the stock will reduce, which will add a depth of flavor to your soup as well. I have another jalapeno here, so I like it spicy. And I'm just going small little thin guys there. In that goes. Now this is when I add some salt. That was like 2 tablespoons. So you're gonna keep cooking this to break down the onions and the carrots and celery, and to cook the sage and thyme. And any other spices that you would have, you wouldn't add yet because that can burn the bottom of your pot. And you could also burn the spices and they'll completely change the flavor of your soup. There's a difference in toasting spices beforehand and adding them once the liquid is there, or adding the spices now and burning them and essentially ruining your soup. The chances increase. So I also have zucchini and the yellow squash here, but I'm gonna wait to put that in a few more minutes. I have this on a fairly high heat, and my vegetables are getting translucent here, starting to look a little bit better. So at this point, I'm just going to go to the next step, just for time purposes. And let me move my camera over here a little bit, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Bear with me. It's a one-man operation here. Alright, so I like to use a wooden spoon for most things. I just feel like it doesn't mess up pans. It's a lot more forgiving, and it just feels better. The weight feels better to me. Okay, so now I'm about to add my liquid. So before I add my liquid, I'm going to add other spices I have in seasonings. I have some more onion. This is some chopped, dried, dehydrated onion. That's about 1.5 tablespoons. I also have onion powder. So I have diced onions, dehydrated onions, and onion powder. Can't really have too much onion. That's like a teaspoon and a half. I have garlic powder, about 2 teaspoons. Have a little bit of chili powder, 1 teaspoon. Have some paprika, teaspoon and a half. A little bit of black pepper, half a teaspoon. 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground mustard. Also, I think I'll add a little bit of cumin. Ground cumin. Half teaspoon to 3/4 of a teaspoon. Now I will mix this and essentially toast the spices. Now if I kept cooking these spices like this, it's gonna destroy my pan. They might burn on the bottom, they might make a mess, they might mess up my soup. I don't want that. So now I'm going to add chicken stock. My can opener wasn't working, so I did the good old hole punch. This is 49.5 ounce bottle of chicken stock. And I'm going to add all of it. Now, if you saw my other video on how to make turkey meatballs, this is when you're going to add them. So let me grab those from the freezer. They should be nice and solidified and ready to be dumped into this broth. Here's my meatballs. I dusted them with Parmesan cheese. I had some extra Parmesan cheese packets from Olive Garden, and I forgot to add it to the batter, but it's all good. They stuck onto the meatballs, and I'm gonna add about 17 to this. Once they're frozen, they come right off. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. Now the reason why I'm adding 17 of these is because I made 34 of them and I want to do 2 separate batches. So at this point it's very important to stop stirring. Do not stir anymore, or you're going to break up these meatballs and it's going to turn into a consommé raft of meat. You do not want that unless you're making turkey consommé, which we're not. Now I also like to add a little bit of heat, and you can see I have some room here for a little more liquid. So I'm going to add a little bit more water. It's about 12 ounces, and I think I'll do 12 more ounces. Alright, there's that. Now I want a little more spice, so I'm going to search for some hot sauce packets. Looks like today is a Taco Bell hot. You can use whatever you have from whatever place you have extra hot sauce packets from. Unless you have Tapatio, use Tapatio. Not too much though, it'll overpower it and it'll make your soup taste like Tapatio only. Cholula the same way, you can't add too much. This is for added depth and for spice and flavor. All I did was add 2 packets. Now normally I would wait and add the squash, but because I don't mind if it's soggy, today I'm just gonna cut it and add it to the soup. Just so I don't have to move the camera again, I'm going to put this cutting board right on top of this soup pot. I wouldn't recommend this at home, but I'm over here in the Wild Wild West, so I'm going to do it. I just cut planks out of it, and now I'm cutting lengthwise cuts, and now finishing my dice. In goes my squash. And then I have zucchini. This is a bit smaller, so I'm just going to roll with the half moons. In that goes. Now you're going to bring this to a boil and drop it to a simmer and let the liquid reduce by at least ½ inch. That will increase the flavor of your chicken broth, and if you're kind of scared it's not going to have enough of a chicken brothy flavor, then you can cheat and add some chicken bouillon, which I'm going to add about 2.5 teaspoons of that. So after 30 minutes, taste your stock, see if you need to add salt or more chicken bouillon, see if you need to add maybe another packet of hot sauce, and just cook it until the meatballs are cooked through. I have rice inside of my meatballs. I didn't show that in my other video, but I ended up adding rice into the meatballs. So I have to wait for the rice to cook, and that's going to take at least 45 minutes to cook the rice. And after this reduces by ½ inch, this dish is good to go, and you'll be able to enjoy this with some corn or flour tortillas, and it'll be a nice little hearty rustic soup for you. This was Turkey Albondigas Soup. This is Mateo. Thanks for watching. See you next time. God bless.